Great. Right. So great. Right. Right. We're live now. Okay. So I'm just gonna welcome everyone. So we have that Rendang lady from Bristol. She's the first one. Welcome, Zaliha. How are you? Okay. So let's wait until we have a lot of people joining us online, and then after that we're gonna have a bit of introduction of Jackie and also about the campaign, what we're doing, and let's say hello to Renee in Dubai. How's the baby doing? Renee or Renee? How do you pronounce that, Jackie? Renee or Renee? Renee. Because
I say Renee.
Renee, yeah. And we have Liz Liu. Okay, so if you're joining us, something like I did with Pearly before, it'll be nice if you can tell us where you're watching from. Yeah. So we have Pauline from San Diego. Hello, Pauline. And Azwan as well from Kuala Lumpur. So let's wait a few more people to join, and after that I'll do the quick introduction. And Andrew, thank you again for joining us from Seattle. So it's a bit late for you now, Jackie, isn't it, to cook 11 o'clock at night?
It's never too late to eat sambal prawns.
Exactly, especially when we're in Malaysia, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm very Malaysian like that.
Yeah, this Liz Liu, I'm very jealous with you because you live in Tuscany. It's one of the best part of the world to live in. I hope everything's okay after all this COVID in Italy. So one day, hopefully, we can get to. Actually, I'm supposed to be visiting my friend in Florence before the COVID, but it's supposed to be doing supper club as well, actually, Jackie. Yeah, so in Florence, but obviously that didn't happen. So Liz, I'm envy you, because you're living in the best part of the world. So Lee Heng just say, hi Jackie, how are you? He has his Milo and waiting for you in Sydney. So okay. Tigray, thanks again for watching us in Amsterdam. You have to come and visit us in The Hague one day, hopefully. Hi Lee Heng. Oh yes, Lee Heng from the tea. Yeah. So thank you anyway for chatting up with Sandy. And we got Chef Dave from Malaysia. Chef Dave who? that's a good line, isn't it? From Pearly. Chef Dave who? Chef Dave who?
It's so Pearly.
Hello, Jamie, watching from Philippines. Okay, right. So we have quite a lot of people now joining us. So welcome. So it's 3 p.m. over here and 11 p.m. over in Sydney. Yeah, Jackie. So
yes,
hopefully
it is.
Not going to smell this summer prawns that you're going to be cooking shortly. Yeah.
Yes, for my midnight supper.
Yeah. So So for those who join us first time here, so I want to just run through briefly about our campaign, the campaign that we're doing. So basically, this is the Masters of Malaysian Cuisine. Thankfully to Jackie who came up with this idea, right? So to join, to get all the chefs together, to join from around the world, like me in the Netherlands, Saleha in the UK, Nora in California. So yeah, so it's a beautiful gesture. I mean, a campaign to promote Malaysian cuisine, and partly because of course we went through all the lockdown, and yeah, Jackie came up with this idea, and we're very lucky to have people like Chef Joe in KL, and also Pearly as well. So you watch Pearly, how she cracked me out anyway. Yeah, I'm sure that we're going to have a good fun here today as well. So for those who haven't joined us to get this ebook, okay, so welcome pack ebook with recipes, you can go to www.malaysianchef.com/join today. Okay, so sign up, and then there will be an email coming over to you. And then you can go to this link and then be a member. You can download this ebook. And once we finish with our demos, 8 altogether, so Jack is doing number 6, then you can download another ebook. Okay, so that's for me to design and put everything nicely together. And hopefully we're going to inspire you to cook all these Malaysian dishes that we be cooking online. Okay, so let's see who else is we can see Chef Bob, so he can relax now after he's done an amazing job yesterday. So we got Shirley from California. So it's in the morning there for her. And also we got Michael. Okay, so right, let's talk about Jackie. Right? Okay, you're gonna be blushing. I'll be memorized all your bios, very rather long bio actually. So you're originally from Seremban, yeah. So and then you're the second generation of the hawker. And then one thing that I'm amazed about about Jackie. Like she knows everything about the hawker food. I think that's what it's all about when it comes to Malaysian street food, right, Jackie? Yeah. And of course, your signature look with a platinum blonde as well. Like when you first approached me, like actually last year when you unfortunately like we didn't manage to kind of like connect last year because yeah, well, you have to believe that you have to be at the right time, the right place, and with the right people as well. But this year somehow we managed to reconnect, and then as soon as I saw her, like wow, such a glamorous lady, right? So Jackie is a co-founder of the Malaysian Street Food Academy. Yeah, so I'm sure Jackie's going to tell you a bit more about this food academy that she co-founded with colleague Paul. Now, Paul is the guy who's behind all this technical guy, apart from Jackie as well. So Paul is based in Johannesburg in South Africa. Okay, so you won't see him, and so we have another colleague of ours, Azwan as well. Yeah, so he'll help us with the branding and so. Yeah, so and then typical like sorry, I just heard like someone just behind me. So very Malaysian things when they go abroad and when they miss the home cooking, and then of course I mean they start getting passionate about it. And believe it or not, Jackie was like a Microsoft engineer before. Right? How brainy was that? Like, so that's why she's
Microsoft systems engineer, yeah.
Microsoft system engineer, yeah, to be precise. So that's why she's very sharp when it comes to all this technical stuff. Even I couldn't cope with anything like that anymore. Okay, right. So, Jackie, before you start cooking, perhaps you want to tell a bit about the dish that you're cooking today. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So the theme of this series is a dish close to my heart, and what I've picked is a sambal prawns, or what the Chinese typically refer to as chili prawns or chili crab, right? So if you've had Singapore chili crab, I know the Singaporeans claim ownership of it, but we know better. We Malaysians know it actually came from Malaysia. Now,
oh, we don't have any Singaporeans watching now.
You know what? I think Singaporeans are some of the coolest people on the planet because I can make fun of them and they take it in good stride. So, you know, if you're a Singaporean and watching this, it's all in good fun, all right? But yeah, so essentially, I try and tell people a little bit that with Malaysian food, cause I don't know if you guys have been following the other broadcasts, but Malaysia is so uniquely multicultural and multi-ethnic that we've got people like Norman, who's Malay from Penang, and I'm Chinese from Seremban, and we're all different. And I keep telling people, when you eat a chicken curry, a Malaysian chicken curry cooked by a Chinese person in Malaysia, it probably tastes a little bit different to a chicken curry cooked by a Malay family, or one by an Indian family, right? Or one by a Katasan family or an Iban family. So we all have our little ways of passing our recipes. And chili prawns is one of those things. And the reason why I picked this dish was because if you're Chinese, you would be familiar with the Chinese New Year reunion dinner every year. And we always had like a few set dishes, and they're all meant to represent something, but generally they represent prosperity and opulence and all that. So prawns are one of those things that are, I think, quite luxurious. And so every year we would have chili prawns. I don't know if you have that, Norman, with like...
Oh, well, ours obviously is rendang for the Raya, isn't it? So
that's right, you see, yeah.
Yeah, Chinese obviously, like, because that's the thing, because I grew up in Penang, I have neighbors of Chinese, also Indians, and then every time when it comes to festive season, we're always looking forward because we always have like a dish like coming from them. And I think you do that in Seremban as well, growing up, right?
Yeah. So the Malays are always the rendang and the lemang and all the beautiful stuff. The Chinese are all the Chinese stuff like chili prawns. And
I have quite a cheeky question to ask you. Like, were you kind of like behave as a good girl when you were little or something when you're growing up? Because no, were you like a good girl, like you know, like because I was a naughty boy when I grew up in the village before. Because sorry, out of the blue, I just asked you a question like this anyway.
Look, I tell people I was like the perfect child up until I was 15. So I did really well. I was very demure, very quiet, very hardworking, and did really well at school. And then at 15, I kind of lost the plot. And you know why? Boys, that's what happened, right? I got a boyfriend and I just completely went off the rails a little bit. So by the time I came to Australia, I was kind of like,
I think I was a lot worse than you because I ran away from home many times. But saying that, no, wait, I've got there's a twist of this. But during the lunchtime, I went back home, right, to eat the food that my mom cooked.
Oh my goodness.
Why did you come back? I said, because I'm hungry. I said, I thought you ran away from home. I said, no, well, and then I ran again after that. So that happened many times. God. I got it like a mild, the second child syndrome or middle child syndrome anyway. So that was like a funny story growing up in Malaysia. I think everyone like who left Malaysia and live abroad like us, so obviously have all these fun memories anyway. Okay, right. Let's get back to you on cooking this special dish.
Sure. Okay. So what we're making is chili prawns, and I want to actually see if I can add another camera so you can see some of the stuff that I'm doing. For those of you who don't know me, I've been doing live videos for a long time. So, and because I live alone, well, I've got my child with special needs. I'm very used to actually running all these from my end sort of thing. So I got like another camera set up. So let's see if it actually pulls up, but we'll see what happens anyway. So to me, actually having Paul in the back room and having Norman co-hosting is a little bit like, very premium.
It's okay, you need fun anyway. Just for anyone who's watching, if you have any questions, you can type up your questions now. Okay, so I'm gonna gather all your questions and I'm gonna ask Jackie after she finished cooking. Okay, so we can work that way. Okay. Okay. Go for it.
Perfect. All right. So chili prawns. Now, I'm going to talk through a little bit because I'm very, I guess, to some extent, technical in terms of covering what we're doing. Okay. So part of my food philosophy involves essentially trying to make Malaysian food accessible to the average home cook. All right. And because I've lived overseas for decades now, I try and take into consideration what you can actually access in terms of ingredients at your local supermarket. Okay. So if you're watching in Malaysia and you're wondering why I leave all these beautiful, like exotic ingredients out, it's not necessarily because I don't think they need to be in there, but a lot of the time it's past in the sense that I think that, if you make it too hard, if you make it if you make the ingredients list too long, or you make it too hard for them to be able to find all these beautiful ingredients, then you may struggle to get people to even attempt your recipes. And just let me try and get a knife. Okay, so what we're doing with the prawns, we've got these prawns here. They don't have to be, these are tiger prawns. Here in Australia, they cost about, I bought them for about $21 a kilo today. Okay, so back in my restaurant, this is a recipe from my restaurant, by the way, because I used to own a restaurant. I gave it up a few years ago to look after my son who's special needs. But back in my restaurant days, what I used to do. Now, the other thing I want to mention as well, having lived in Australia and coming from a Malaysian background, the way we eat some of our dishes in Malaysia is a little bit different to how the Aussies eat them. Okay. Now, if you're Chinese and you're Malaysian and you're making chili prawns, you'd be compelled to leave the shell on. All right. In Australia, they're not used to eating shellfish with the shell on. So what I do as a restaurateur, I kind of split the difference. Okay. I don't peel the whole thing off. I leave the head on and I leave the tail on. Okay. But I peel the body so that you can actually eat it comfortably without having to get your hands dirty, okay? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to just peel the body. And so got it like this. And the reason why you leave the head on, like I said, is partly because I like to eat the head, okay? Well, the nice juicy bits in there, okay? We're being very Malaysian here. But also from a business point of view, it looks bigger, right? It looks like you're serving them with a bigger plate of prawns than one that's just got the prawn meat in, Okay, so if you can get a hold of fresh prawns, okay, as opposed to frozen prawns. A lot of Aussies buy these freezer prawn meat or even worse, cooked prawns. Okay, get into the habit of buying raw whole prawns at your fish shop. Now, the other thing I want to mention is insofar as the ingredients, one of the ingredients going into this is just ketchup, okay? And a lot of purists think, oh, you know, Malaysian food, Asian food must be so exotic that it would be really weird to have like tomato ketchup in your food. Okay, you'd be surprised. We do use ketchup in some of our dishes. We don't drown them in ketchup, okay? But it does show up here and there in Malaysian cooking, okay? So don't write it off. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so we've got the prawns peeled. We're gonna just trim the feelers a little bit, okay? And in the meantime, by the way, I've got some oil just heating up here, okay? And it's just going to, we're going to actually just flash fry these prawns in a bit, okay? Just let me see if I can add my other camera. Okay, it's just not showing up. Okay. Okay, no worries. We'll try and give you as much of a view of what I'm doing as possible. Okay, so what we're going to do, we've got the prawns here. We're just going to cut off the feelers here, okay? And just cut off the sharp bit, the pointy bit of the prawn head, okay? That way you just kind of like don't end up accidentally stabbing yourself and the feelers get in the way, okay? So you've just trimmed it. So, and they're still nice and big. And then next we're going to actually devein them, okay? So just cut them off. And again, guys, hit me up with any questions. Like I said, a lot of my philosophy with cooking revolves around maintaining authentic flavors, okay? And producing food that you can actually, hopefully, be able to even charge money for, okay? That's kind of like where I approach my cooking, okay? Because I used to own a restaurant. I know what sells, okay? So we've got these, we've got the prawns, and now we're going to just devein them, okay? So if you're not familiar with deveining, you've got a knife here, just cut it down the middle here, and just split it open, and then just peel out the vein. It doesn't actually have any veins, so we'll see how we go here. Now, insofar as the type of prawns, what do I use? I use whatever is kind of like the cheaper versions out there, okay? So of the fresh prawns that are a decent size, today, these were the best options, okay? Sometimes I get banana prawns. Okay, if you want to go really like extra premium, you can get the nicer ones, larger ones. Okay, and again, if you're feeling really generous, this recipe works with crab as well. Okay, now I was talking about how like different ethnicities in Malaysia tackle the same recipes with their own little nuances. Okay, now when my mom made this for Chinese New Year. As a Chinese family, they keep it fairly, I think, like a little bit Chinese, if you know what I mean. A lot of garlic, a lot of ginger, but they don't put belacan in it, okay? A Malay family, if you go to visit a Malay family and they offer you some sambal prawns, they might have belacan, and they might have more chili, right?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So looking forward to this. Yeah. So it's slightly different, isn't it? Like from the typical Malay, like prawn sambal, isn't it? Okay. Go.
Yeah. That's right. And even within the Chinese space, okay, depending on your Chinese dialect group, you might approach your cooking a little bit different as well. I am a Hakka for what it's worth, but I don't actually eat pork, so I don't really know a lot about Hakka dishes per se, because I tend to find that Hakka recipes tend to contain a lot of pork, okay? But having said that, like you would know, if you've been to Hong Kong, Hong Kong is very Cantonese, okay?
No, yeah, unfortunately I haven't been to Hong Kong yet, because my friends like keep asking me to go to visit them. But I suppose their street food is just amazing as in Malaysia as well, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And they're very Cantonese. So Cantonese flavors tend to be quite subtle, right? The Hokkien flavors, at least the Hokkiens in our part of Malaysia, they have more robust flavors. So like the KL Hokkien mee with all the braised dark sauces. Okay, those are Hokkien signature flavors. Okay, so with the sambal prawns, I'm going to split the difference. Okay, I'm going to make it fairly Chinese, but I'm going to throw in some belacan because I like belacan. Okay. Now,
well, I think we're going to have a belacan war again today. Sorry.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. North versus South. If you guys caught our broadcast yesterday, it's quite funny. Look, I'm just cracking an egg into this. Okay. And we're just going to mix this through. And then what we're going to do, we're going to toss some tapioca starch through this. And then we're going to just flash fry this, okay? So this is how I used to do this in my restaurant. And so this is just some tapioca starch. You can use corn starch. You can use potato starch. They all function essentially the same. There are slight variations to how they behave. But for this particular exercise, you can use any, okay? Now, back to the belacan. The reason why I mention it is because, again, my audience is global. So I'm very conscious that in your part of the world, you may not be able to find belacan, okay? So add it in if you can get it. If you can't get it, my own stepmom doesn't use belacan, okay? So don't stress out. That's kind of like what I try and encourage people to think about when it comes to Malaysian food. You don't have to spend $50 on ingredients that you might use once and not again for like 6 months, right? Just try and make use of what you can get a hold of in your pantry even, okay? Especially if you're still under lockdown environments and can't get a lot of stuff, okay? Or ultimately, you know, what you can get in your local Western supermarket, okay? So I've got some oil over here. Let me just see if I can move this a little bit closer here so you can see it. Okay, let's turn this up. Now, in the meantime, while the oil is just heating up, I did get it started for a little bit, okay? So again, the prawns got an egg and some cornstarch tossed through it. And part of the reason why we're doing this is because we want to cook it separate to the sauce so that it retains its shape, okay? Because sometimes if you simmer something that's quite fragile like prawns in the sauce, it might break up before it cooks up, okay? So we're just trying to get this going. Okay, now I've got an onion here. And you see my recipes, a lot of time I mention brown onion, okay? I use brown onion here in Australia because it's the cheapest kind of onion, okay? If you can't get brown onion, get another type of onion. In Malaysia, a lot of the time, we actually use shallots a lot, okay? Those small little red shallots. When I came to Australia, you couldn't get a hold of shallots, all right? So a lot of my food philosophy has moved with the times to some extent, okay? Like I said, you're watching in Malaysia, you might be thinking, why is she using this? A lot of it, I mean, and I'm sure, Norman, you're like that too, you know? When you moved to the UK 25 years ago, it's like, you can't get all these stuff. So you adapt.
There's a lot of things that you have to adapt. And then, like I think like you set up a restaurant in the same year as I did in 2006. And then, so I had it for 10 years and then I moved to Holland. But and it's not easy to set up a restaurant, especially when you have Malaysians coming to visit because they expect something authentic like back home. But because of like we have to adapt with some of the ingredients, right? So that's what we have to do actually. If you live abroad, it's not that everything that you can get. And especially one ingredient like a torch ginger, bunga kantan, you cannot get it like anywhere outside Malaysia.
They always say, don't bother making Penang asam laksa if you can't get the torch ginger. When I had my restaurant and I sold asam laksa, there was no torch ginger in it. Nobody noticed. All right. So again, like I said, you can get away with it.
I think if you serve it to Pearly Key or Chef Joe, they probably notice it. They look
yeah. Pearly will give us a hard time.
Yeah.
I totally get it. Okay, so we've got the onion. I've got some garlic here. Okay, so I've got about 6 cloves of garlic. Throw it in. Aussies are very scared of garlic. Okay, but we Malaysians, we love our garlic. Okay, now if you have fresh chilies, you would put it in there. You chop up the fresh chilies, use large fresh chilies, and throw it in and blitz it. And if you've got a chunk of ginger, throw it in. I've got some ginger over here, but it's already minced up. But guys, with ginger, don't use the pureed stuff in jars, all right? Same with garlic, don't buy the stuff in jars because they've got like all kinds of preservatives in them. The flavor isn't even there anymore. Okay, so ginger in here. But yeah, usually it would, it's just I was doing something else and I already minced it sort of thing. But let's throw it in. And likewise with the chili, I already have some chili already in a sauce form. Okay, so we're going to use that and just add it in. And if you don't have fresh chilies, use bottled chili sauce. Okay, but bottled chili sauce can be quite sweet, so you have to adjust the flavors. Whatever it is, you do a replacement with. Just be conscious of how it tastes and adjust your seasoning accordingly. Okay, so let's turn this on, and we're going to blitz this.
That's like a dream for everyone to have like Thermomix like in the kitchen. I know. I saw you went live and I saw the Thermomix. You can even cook rendang in there as well. Well, do the soup and everything.
Yeah. You know what it's good for? It's good for making kaya. Because
really?
You know how anything that requires you standing over the stove and stirring, that's what it's good for. Okay, let's blitz this. This is going to be a little bit loud for a couple of seconds. Okay, so this oil is hot. Again, remember, some flour and some egg. If you want to be fancy, just use egg whites, okay? And I couldn't be bothered. I just threw in the whole egg, okay? Again, the one thing that's come up in a lot of our sessions is the term agak-agak, all right? All Malaysians know agak-agak, right? And a lot of Westerners. And when I run cooking classes, I notice Western men, for whatever reason, they think cooking is a science, all right? So they want to measure everything to the nth degree. Guys, get over that, okay? It's not an exact science because, look, I'm heating up some oil over here. If I were to say to you my recipe, heat it for like 5 minutes and 20 seconds, that means nothing, okay? Because your stove will be different to my stove. Whatever it is you're cooking the oil in will be different to mine, okay? The diameter of the pot, the thickness of the whatever will all affect it, okay? So you can see how right away the whole idea of measuring everything to the nth degree is just such a fallacy, okay? Like I said, for whatever reason, Western men think you have to measure everything. I don't know if it's a Western men thing, but maybe all men are like that. I don't know. No one can tell me. All right. So we're going to try this in the oil, and we're just going to flash fry this, okay? So maybe a little bit loud.
I think when it comes to Malaysian cooking, the preparation is always that take ages, but cooking is going to be really quick, especially these prawns as well. You're cooking, right? It's going to be really, really quick. Yeah. So one thing I think people, when they found out that you're cooking summer prawns, most people would think that, oh, it's like a Malay summer prawns with all this, like they eat with nasi lemak. This is completely different. So for anyone who wants a recipe, Jackie's recipe, so you have to sign up to our website, www.malaysianchef.com/join today. Okay, so you will get an ebook with a recipe pack towards the end of our demo. Okay.
Cool. All right. So this has been blended. Okay. So again, onion, garlic, ginger, and if you had fresh chilies, that would have been blended in there as well. And we're just scraping it down. And these prawns are pretty much done, okay? So you're going to see right away that we don't want to overcook this, okay? That's the other thing. The Chinese are very conscious about overcooking food. Okay, like just like you think of Hainanese chicken rice, the chicken is still pink, and that completely freaks out the Aussies, right? But the Malays tend to cook things a little bit more. Okay, like your ikan bakar and all that. You kind of like
overdone. I mean, for us, like for me. Yeah, like Pearly said, texture. For Malay, sometimes it's a bit overdone. It's people don't really appreciate about like a good, like a soft chicken and all that. See, because we always like a deep fry everything. Yeah, so that's something that I learned after moving to the UK before about cooking.
Yeah, that's how our food evolves, our cooking styles evolve, and even our philosophy when it comes to cooking. Evolve once you live overseas. Okay, so you got the prawns here. Okay, so that
looks good already. You don't have to make some. That's good.
Like that. Now, a lot of recipes will have told you to season the prawns, let it sit and whatever. When you're working in a restaurant and you're the only cook, right? Because back in my restaurant.
Jackie, can I just interrupt you? Can you move your plate of the prawns to somewhere else because your name, the label, Jackie and Sydney, kind of block it. Yeah, if you put somewhere else so people can see it, maybe next to the Thermomix.
Put it over here.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, cool. Thank you.
Let me just move this out a little bit. See if we can see this. Let's see where we are. Okay, I think it might have to stay here. Okay, so we're just heating up this pan, and again we've got the onion, garlic, and ginger. And we're going to add some chili to this. And we're throwing this in. Now, what I used to do, so what all the cookbooks say, add the oil, heat it up, throw this in. Okay, just like what you do with all the rendang and all the curries. But what I found, after years and years of getting burns all over my hands, what I do, especially because I'm using larger onions, they're very juicy, okay? They're wet and juicy and they spit everywhere because we all know oil and water don't mix. So what I do, I fry it without the oil first, okay?
Right, that's a good tip. That's a very good tip,
Yeah, until a lot of the moisture is evaporated, then you add the oil and finish it off that way. Okay, so we've got some chili here. This is one of my personal stash of, this has garlic in it as well, okay, which is why I could have actually put a little bit more garlic in there, but because this is a chili garlic sauce, and actually it's got a little bit of salt as well, so that's going to affect how I actually adjust the flavors later on, okay? So let's put some chili in here. I'm not going to go too crazy, because Norman's like me, we do a lot of cooking demonstrations in public. We've been caught out putting too much chili in our cooking demo, and then we start like sniffling, okay, and sneezing and all that, okay? So we're gonna put a little bit less in here. So we're just gonna fry this up. And this is gonna take a little time. Okay. Did we just lose visual or?
No, it's fine, it's fine. I think cool. Let's do that because we can see, that's good. So while you're cooking and everyone can see what's going in. Yep.
Okay, cool. So this is just going to use it. You can see a lot of the steam coming up, and it's just going to continue to simmer until it's evaporated. Okay, let me see if I can turn this up a little bit. Unfortunately, because of the camera angle, I can't. This is actually the smallest stove.
No, this is perfect, Jackie. So everyone can see what's in the pan.
You can see it? Okay, cool, cool.
Yeah.
Because from my end, I just get a black screen. Okay, so I'm gonna take it in good.
Trust me, you.
Okay, cool. Now I feel like moving it over to the other side. I'm the most impatient person in the world. So can you still see it? Okay, over there.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
Because now we see the view from the top, so we can see.
Okay. Cool.
We can't see your beautiful face, but we can see all the ingredients.
You have to sign up for autographs later on, all right, guys?
That's a very good tip, actually, for you to cook that to get rid of the moisture first.
Yeah.
And then after that,
because you know what it's like, right? I hate that whole spitting thing. And not just that, it messes up your entire kitchen bench and your kitchen walls because you've got all this oil splatter everywhere, right? So we're going to fry this up. Like I said, if you've got more chilies, especially milder chilies, this should actually technically look quite red, okay? And now, like I said, if you don't have fresh chilies, you can use like a bottled chili sauce.
That's Malaysian.
But remember, it's as Malaysian as it gets, right? But this is quite sweet. So if you do use that, you want to actually probably not put any sugar in this, okay? But so far, I'm just using fresh chili, so we're good. And then we're going to throw in some tomato sauce in a bit. And if you've got tamarind, you can use tamarind. But Aussies, like I said, I'm very conscious of introducing too many ingredients to my Western audience. So lemon juice, okay? And if you're lazy like me, you get a bottle of lemon juice sort of thing. And the other thing, okay, I'm very reticent about mentioning this because...
Go on. Like, in case the Malaysians gonna slaughter
you. This is what we Malaysians call magic powder, okay? Magic powder, this is chicken powder, okay? That's what it looks like. If you go to any Asian grocery store, you see like an entire section that has different iterations of chicken powder, okay? When I travel and collaborate with hotels and chefs all around Malaysia, I always tell people, if you work in a Western kitchen with a Western chef, the mise en place, what they have next to their setup, usually would be olive oil, pepper, and salt, right? Maybe some fancy salt or something. You go to an Asian mise en place, right? They'll have like oyster sauce, soya sauce, chicken powder. Okay. But nobody likes to talk about it because it seems like we're cheating.
We have someone called Chris Chen who's just joined us and asked us like, what are you cooking today? So Chris, just to make it clear, Jackie's cooking sambal prawns, but this is not like a typical Malay sambal prawns. This is a completely different. I would say it's different, but it's like it's looking so good so far. And then there's a good angle that we can watch her cooking now. I can feel that the steam coming up to our face. I think everyone's gonna agree with me on this. Wow, this is amazing. If you can smell this, it's just like it's simply amazing.
Yeah. So lots of garlic, a little bit of ginger, and onion, and some chili in here so far. Okay, so I'm just adding the oil now. And you notice, because a lot of the moisture is evaporated, it's not spitting everywhere, okay? So, and they always say in cookbooks, fry it till the oil separates. What does that mean? It essentially means till the onion is browned, okay? Because that's when the oil starts to come out of this. Let's just use this. So usually with any kind of Malaysian cooking, this tends to be the most time consuming one of it, unless you're cooking rendang or something and you need to tenderize the meat, then that, stirring will take a long time. But other than that, cooking this part usually takes a few minutes. And if you ran a restaurant like I did, you wouldn't be doing small little portions like this. You'll be cooking this in a brat pan that's an 80-quart amount, all right? You'll be frying up like 20-40 kilos of onion, all puree, and you'll be standing over it and frying it for hours and hours, okay? But today we're just doing a small little amount. Just frying it up. And, I have a cheat for this. Again, don't hate me, but because I used to own a restaurant where I did most of the cooking, because my staff were generally unskilled staff. After years and years of frying like 20, 40, 60 kilos of onion a week, what I started doing was cheating a little bit. Okay, so if you're familiar with you know those crispy fried shallots that you can buy.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So sometimes, if you don't have time, replace the fresh onion with crispy fried shallot. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, you save time from doing it. Well.
Yeah.
It's over time, isn't it?
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, does it have quite the same like aroma as fresh onion? No, it doesn't. But you got to do what you got to do, right?
Yeah.
So we're just frying this up, like I said.
This is the thing. It's like when it comes to like cooking our dishes, like these Malaysian dishes. I mean, there's always like you have to find ways how you can tweak a bit, but as long as the taste is good, right? So so you try to be as close as authentic, like the original dish as well. So, But the way to describe that method is just like you being innovative. Okay, so it's not like you cheat. So it's not cheating.
Yeah, we like innovating.
Being innovative. Oh, that looks good already.
Thinking outside the box. All right, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
I notice also a lot of Malaysians who live overseas, they still try and do things the traditional way. All right. I tend to find, in fact, that there's two very like distinct camps. Either they make everything from scratch and they'll post on social media the fact that they make yong tau fu and they spent like all weekend making a batch of yong tau fu because they got like they hunted down the right kind of fish and then they scraped the flesh and they did all that. Or they go the other extreme where they buy all these pre-made sauces and they just add it in, right? I like to think that I kind of like get the best of both worlds in some, use shortcuts where you can, but ultimately without compromising on the flavor.
Yeah.
All right, so this is ready for me to add the tomato sauce in. Let me just, would help if I open this up first. Okay, so a bit of tomato sauce. We're going to add a bit of water to this.
Okay. So what you're doing now, you're creating the sauce for this prawn, right? So,
that's right, yeah.
Okay.
For the sauce, I'm just going to turn it down a little bit. Should make a little bit more. Need to add a bit more sauce. So this chili, garlicky, oniony, ketchupy. Now, all right. So now we're going to add some seasoning.
Oh,
okay. Belacan.
Okay,
we'll add some belacan. This is a serbuk belacan. Okay, belacan powder, not a shortcut from my restaurant days. Just sprinkle a little bit in. A little goes a long way. And just mix it in. Again, if you don't have it, don't stress. Okay, but if you do have like belacan, typically you would buy it in a block. You cut out a slice and then you toast it, roast it till it crumbles. This has already been done for you, okay? So it's as though someone saved you the trouble of stinking up your whole house while you roast your belacan, okay? So you see the sauce, this is what it looks like. Let's add a little bit more water to it.
Okay.
And now we're gonna add the seasoning, okay? My magic powder. For Westerners who don't understand the idea of chicken powder, it's like, I guess, like chicken stock cubes, okay?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. It's the same thing. It's the same thing like if you add water and then the water you mix with this chicken powder to make a stock.
That's right. So I'm going to add a little bit of fish sauce. This again is something that has grown on me since I came to Australia. But in Malaysia, you would use soy sauce. Okay, I've grown quite fond of fish sauce. Thanks to growing up among the Vietnamese community here in Sydney. Okay, we're going to add some sugar. So you want this to be a kind of a little bit of a sweet and sour, kind of like sweet, sour, spicy, garlicky sauce. Okay, so we've got the sugar in there. We've got the belacan. The belacan will have some saltiness. We're going to add a little bit of lemon juice. Okay, and I'm just gonna taste test this.
I think Papa Joe just started the belacan war again. The shrimp. Well,
you know
Papa
what?
Joe, can I just
we
tell
should
you?
do a tour of Malaysia.
Yeah, we should.
Like the whole lake to find the best belacan. All right, this could be a TV special.
Yeah, we do the belacan tasting event. Okay, because I keep telling everyone the best one.
We'll put out a belacan recipe cookbook. How about that?
Yeah.
All right.
That's really good. Oh wow! I can't wait. Like,
this tastes pretty good.
Yeah.
So add a little bit more sugar. By the way, guys, I have pretty strong taste buds. Okay, so I'm not your typical Chinese who's very subtle and very restrained. To me, if it's hot, it should be spicy hot. If it's salty, it should be salty. It should be very notable. Okay, so we've got a bit of sugar. We've got a dash of fish sauce. We've got a dash of chicken powder. We've got the ketchup. And again, like I said, if you're using a bottled chili sauce, don't add sugar. Depending on how sweet your bottled chili sauce is, you might want to actually not put any sugar at all. Okay? So we've got this. And we're going to move this away from the stove. Okay? So this is off the heat. Now you add the egg. Okay? A lot of people like to actually cook the eggs. I don't, okay? And that's the Chinese in me, okay? We like the whole, the Chinese are very big on texture, okay? It's not just about the flavor, it's about how it feels in your mouth, okay?
Every time you mention texture, that's gonna remind me of Mama Pearly now. Like texture, like she mentioned. Right. Wow. Jackie, I think we kind of lost you a bit now. Your voice disappeared. Or is it just me? I think. So I don't know what's happening there, but we're going to try to get Jackie's voice back. So I think Paul is working on it. So now I think she's just doing something just to adjust. I can see that lots of questions now coming in, and also the war with with the belacan. So again, if you have any questions to ask Jackie, yeah, and then of course you can see that she's now serving. So we're gonna try to get Paul to kind of maximize the screen again, and then so you can see Jackie serving the dish. There you go. So let's Jackie. Okay, Jackie just served the dish. I mean, let's get Jackie back. The voice. Just to check, can anyone hear? Can everyone hear me? Tigrim, yes.
Can you hear me now?
Oh yes, we can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay. Apparently my other camera is dead, but you can still hear me. See if I can add back in.
Right.
Just a second.
Okay. Tigrim, just to answer your question, it's the tomato ketchup is the same thing as the so tomato sauce is the same thing as a tomato ketchup. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a name that's been called differently. Okay, so just bear with us because we're gonna get Jackie back.
Okay. Check my camera.
Yep, Jackie's back. So we're just gonna bring the camera so you can see her again. But we can see, I can see the prawns already. I wish I could just pick like that from the screen.
Okay, let's have a look. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you see me or hear me? Okay.
Okay, you're back now on the screen. Great. So let's get Paul back. Yeah, you're back.
Okay, let's have a look.
Okay.
That's what happens when the beauty of having done live streaming for 8 years is that anything that can possibly go wrong has actually gone wrong. I've literally poured hot oil over myself doing a live stream before. Okay, now I can't see anyone else except me. What's the visual at your end? Can you see me? Or
very good. Yes, we can see you. We can we have 3 screens now on well, screen. We can see you.
Okay. I'm wondering where everything else is. Okay, so as long as you can see me, that's fine. Okay, hit me up with any questions. And again, this is what it looks like. You can see it.
Yeah, that looks cool.
Okay, cool.
Looks very nice.
So that's all it takes to cook up a sambal prawn, right?
Would you mind, Jackie? Would you mind pick up the dish again and
sure.
save it longer to show to everyone? Oh wow! Let everyone like salivating. Like good, very good. Stay for another 5 seconds, please. Wait.
Yeah, let me just wipe this down a little bit.
Okay. We're just about to salivate, and then suddenly you put down the plate.
Oh, sorry. Hang on. Just let me wipe this down.
Okay.
Okay. So you can see this, like you can whip this up like really, really quickly, especially if you cheat like what I suggested using commercial fried onion. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, like, you know, those fried onion, the crispy fried onion that you sprinkle on top of your noodles is basically all you need, right? And if you, so funnily enough, the Swedes use this as well. So if you're not familiar with getting fried onion at your Asian grocery store and you can't get it at your supermarket, go to IKEA. IKEA actually sells fried onion. It's really interesting. I don't know what the Swedes use it for, but you know, instead of fresh onion, use that. So if you want to make all this really, really simple and whip it up within 10 minutes, use fried onion, just crush them, add a little water to reconstitute them. Add, again, if you don't have fresh chilies, use bottled chili sauce, that with a commercial fried onion, and then just mix it up together with some garlic. You can use dry garlic. Oh, I was talking earlier, like with garlic, use fresh garlic if you can. If you can't get fresh garlic, use dried garlic granules, okay, as opposed to the garlic in the jar, because those have never really worked well for me, but that's just me.
Sorry, to stop you there. Are you ready for the questions now? Because we kind of run out of time.
Yeah.
So,
go for your life.
Backwards, so I'm going to say like, whilst Sylvia said that I want to smash my face into these prawns. That's a compliment, right? So, and then Corinne, she asked, is the pan you are dry frying the rempah non-stick fry pan? It was I think it works better, especially when you dry like ingredients like that. So it was especially with ginger, it could stick to your pan, right, Jackie? Yeah. So and then there's lots of people who want your dish, and then what else? I think I saw the questions about the belacan before. We have a same style of cooking chili prawn from T1 Accounting, and then question is the tomato sauce same like ketchup? I think I've answered that on your behalf from Tigrim. And then so from Pauline, we can get most of our Malaysian stuff like belacan from Penang, lingam sauce, and others. Wow, lucky you, Pauline. Okay, so and then Corinne Tan again, sabut belacan can be bought in Sydney in Asian grocers. Try Tanya. So she gave a list of all the shops where you can get this from. T1 Counting says in Philippines, belacan called market only available at Bagum. That's where it's from. Yeah. So there's lots of comment that people. I think everyone's gonna try your recipe after this, Jackie, because I think it's like of course Papa Joe still with a belacan more there. So there's one more question that I'm gonna ask. Sorry, I'm gonna fire up to you. The one I saw earlier. Let me just see. Because I'm like perfect. Because lots of comments here. I think you have to read after you finish this demo, Jackie. Yeah.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah, so like Haniza Latif said that when you live abroad, you have to improvise, like what we've been doing, especially for us like who run a restaurant before. Malaysian abroad don't really care about the little things, as long as it tastes the same or similar, it's good enough. Yeah, so as long as you get as close as to being authentic, that's good enough for us. So that's something that Malaysians who will come and visit our restaurants or so, they should appreciate things like that. Okay. Okay, so Azwan just asked, being a Chinese cooking, are there any do's and don'ts in preparing sambal belacan? Wow, that's kind of a. Do you like sambal belacan, Jackie?
I love sambal belacan.
Okay, so there's like any do's and don'ts. I think Azwan, Jackie's gonna send you a list of long emails with do's and don'ts after this. Okay, so watch out for that. Okay, one more last question, and that's it. And after that, we gonna close the cooking demo. Okay. All right, Jackie, is there anything that you want to tell the viewers today?
Oh yeah, look, guys. You see, like I said, you do what you can when you live overseas, but what really, to me, is the best way to experience Malaysian food is to go to Malaysia. So I love going back to Malaysia. I try and make it back there every year, and I can't wait to go back there. And I hope to see you guys all over there, next time I'm over there. It's quite funny. A number of times I've been to Malaysia. There was one time I just decided, like, I was staying in Penang, in Georgetown. I decided just to take a 40-minute ride out to the beach, Penang Beach, and I was strolling on a beach and I bumped into one of my customers from Australia. So the world is quite small, but I'd love to be able to see you guys over in Malaysia next time we're over there, because Norman and I, we've got great plans about like what's going to happen after this series of broadcasts. But make sure you stay tuned and make sure you sign up to our websites to keep up to date with what's going on. We have so many exciting things coming up that you should really that should really I think be of interest to you.
Well, I think after this, like, everyone's going to be waiting for you at the airport. Okay, so that's what's going to happen.
I'm counting on it. So, sure.
Right, okay, so before we go, I'm just going to thank. Well, can you again, like what we did at for Pearly before? Can you type up lots of love to give to Jackie, who's done an amazing job, like teaching us like how to cook these beautiful summer prawns. Right, so I'm sure everyone's going to be trying your recipe after this. Okay, so just to let everyone know that we are in partnership with Tourism Malaysia, and then our mission is to promote Malaysian cuisine to the world, and of course try to inspire you or get you to go and visit Malaysia one day. Yeah, so and then of course we have lots of events that we planning, like we're putting together, right? So we're going to launch it. So stay with us throughout this campaign, because this is like ongoing with 7 other chefs, with 6 other chefs, 2 of us here. And then, of course, thanks to Paul as well, who's been amazing behind the technical glitch we had earlier anyway. Yeah, so, but if you haven't signed up to the, to join, to be a member, so go to www.malaysianchef.com/join today. Okay, so you'll get the recipe from Jackie and all other chefs that are going to be cooking as well. And tomorrow is going to be my turn, and then Jackie's going to be co-hosting. Okay, so Jackie, I hope you're not going to come up with all these like questions that I asked you earlier. I think I'll put you on spot just now.
Yeah, I'll ask you some embarrassing ones.
Yeah.
We're going to find out about your adventures when you ran away from home.
Well, it's all about having fun anyway. I think it's fun when we get like to laugh a bit when we cook. It's not about like getting serious and all that. Yeah, so I think that's something that I want to make sure that everyone's watching, enjoying watching us cooking anyway. Okay, so right, so we're going to say goodbye from now. Yeah, so watch us again tomorrow, and then of course Zaliha is going to be doing the final demo on Friday at 9 o'clock 9 p.m. Malaysian time, and UK is 2 o'clock, and Holland is 3 p.m. Okay, so bye for now. Yeah, so Jackie, is there anything else, Jackie, you want to tell them, to say to them?
No, I saw a question there. Someone asked, would soft shell crab work with this? Yes, it would. Oh. Okay. Yeah, and where's my rice? Yeah, I'm gonna eat this with rice. Definitely, just regular plain white steamed rice would go perfectly with this dish. Yeah, and hit me up for any other questions. And we again would love to see you tomorrow night. Norman will be in a hot seat. Okay. Thanks, guys. I'll see you later.
Bye bye.